Test. Gary, can you hear me?
Hello again, everyone. I'm Gary Gatto. Welcome to P1's broadcasting coverage in cooperation with FTN of Round 11 of the inaugural season of the ISRA Xfinity Series as we come to you tonight from Las Vegas for the What Happens Here Stays Here 200. Joining me in the booth, just getting here, is Mark Murphy. Mark, thanks for joining us. What are your thoughts on tonight? Should be a pretty straight-up fight. No, I don't think there's going to be a lot of strategy involved here. I think there's going to be a lot of just straight-up racing.
Yeah, and so this track, very, very fast. The key here is going to be how long can they stay together in a pack, and at what point do the tires drop off? We saw these trucks race here at Vegas. For about 20 laps, the trucks could stay together, very much like a pack race at Daytona and Talladega. And then after that, the tires got hot, everybody started sliding around, and you start to spread out. Will the Xfinity cars do the same thing? Will they stay together longer? These cars do perform better aerodynamically than the trucks do. They have a little bit more downforce. They also have more power. And so how long can they keep the tires underneath them, and how long can they do the push tandem draft that these cars tend to produce when they get into high-speed drafting races?
There you see the current conditions, 78 degrees ambient. Not quite sure what the track temperature is, but I bet you it's up there. It's Las Vegas. Got about 55 seconds left to play. On the provisional pole right now is Chris Reagan, Michael Goodman, Stretch Armstrong are up there in the top three. Stretch is quickly becoming one of our fastest qualifiers. He's got 3 poles this season. Forgot to mention that. So he's our leader in poles. But Reagan out there currently watching Matty Wagner, deciding that when he's going to take his first lap, or he's just going to start from the rear.
Maybe we should rename Stretch to Rocket Man. That seems to be his. That seems to be his MO. Great qualifying runs, sometimes not always great runs in the race. He's always fast in qualifying as Stretch Armstrong, and so good to see him up there.
And we're just getting ready to watch the clock here go to all zeros. And then we will get into today's starting lineup. But before we do, let's bring up today's point situation coming into today's race. You saw it momentarily flip on the screen until I flipped it off. And now it is back there. Sam Crow is your leader by 1 stinking point over Michael Goodman. Matt Wagner is 3rd. Callisto is 4th. Rigney's 5th. Hearn is 6th. Evans is 7th. Flanagan is 8th. Hayes is 9th. Fallis is 10th. Remainder of the top 20, Van Ellis, Armstrong, Reagan, Gallas, Dean Mall, Graydon, Vern Hawkins there, Jake Euler, Evan Clapper, and Justin Kirby, who won last week. That is your top 20. Let's take a look at today's starting lineup, shall we?
Absolutely. I apologize, Gary. My service is being very slow, so I do not have that.
All right, well, let's get it in here real quick. Starting in row 1 is Chris Reagan, and one of the chief players here in the points championship, and that is Michael Goodman. He is currently 2nd. Row 2 is Armstrong and Rigney. Row 3, Rick D and Justin Kirby, who won last week. Row 4 is Sam Crow, our points leader, and Pepto Joe. Row 5, Jake Euler and Jimbo Pfeiffer. Haven't seen him in a while. Good to see him back with us. Say Hey Lewis Hayes in row 6 along with Big John. Row 7, Matty Wagner and Lionel Callisto, both points players in the points championship in the top 4 there. Watch these two come from the back from row 7. Row 8, Greg Evans and Hugo Gallas. Row 9, Brandon Graydon and Richie Hearn. And that is the remainder, that is the extent of our 18-car field here tonight.
More cars every week, Gary.
Yeah.
The series continues to grow, continues to do well. So huge kudos to the host of the most, Mike Disney, for all that he does. And a strong 18-car field, too. For a short field, pretty high average I rating, 2359 strength of field. So that's always good to see.
You are going to have to turn up your microphone, sir.
My apologies.
There
It's
you
not
go.
just it's not just that it's 18 cars, but it's 18 good cars.
Good cars, quality cars.
That's right. Strength of field here, 2359, which, as league races go, is pretty doggone good. Also, you have to remember, a lot of these guys don't really race many officials. And so league fields tend to be underrated anyway. And this is probably one of the more underrated fields that you're going to see. Given especially, it includes guys like Matt Wagner, who he's probably a solid 2,000 I rating under what he should be.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Richie Hearn. I mean, that's a pro driver, and he does not race in official races. So, very underrated field, very, very strong.
Getting ready to come to green here. Rule set for tonight. This is a 1.5 mile oval, 134 laps, 201 race miles, 4 sets of tires, 1 in the car, 3 in the pit, 75% fuel. Getting ready to go green for round 11 of this championship that's tighter than ever.
I don't think that we have had a straight up just speed fight this entire season as they drop the green and away they go.
Great start
Chris
by Reagan.
Yeah, leads them away. That inside is very strong. He's going to have Goodman follow him. He's going to have Armstrong follow him. Yeah. I can't read the numbers on the side of the car tonight. Bodes well for the remainder of the
Rick D, third. Goodman, fourth down the backstretch. Side by side, Crow and Rigney going into 3 with Jake Euler, the interested party, right behind them. And also behind them, Hayes and Kirby side by side going into 3. Wagner just cracking into the top 10. 1 lap is done. Top 2 set to break away.
This is kind of how I thought this would go. You're going to see a lot of drafting here. The front 2 are able to break away a little bit, but then you're going to see a huge snarl of cars, at least for a while. It may not go for a long time, but at least for the first 10, 15 laps or so, you're going to see this 2x2 racing for certain sure.
Yeah, these top 2 have kind of broken away, but we have a hornet's nest from about 5th place on back.
Yeah, and that's
Crow, Euler, Rigney, Hayes, Wagner, and Kirby. They're all in the top 10.
What happens there, Gary, is you get stuck together like that. And we all know the side draft, right? How that slows you down. The cars in the front, very much in order. Chris Reagan has driven. He's at a 1.5 second lead now over Stretch Armstrong in second. And then another half a second almost back to Michael Goodman. And what that does is those guys are single file. We got a car slow. That's Jimbo Pfeffer in the back. I don't know if he just went to the back.
Yeah, Pfeiffer might have just decided to go to the back. He looks back. He looks like he's under power right now. Let's pop inside. It is pretty loose out there for the first couple of laps. That might be what he's. Yeah, that's exactly what he's experiencing off corner number 4.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Low tire pressures, especially high horsepower car, and you get the bank corners. It can get pretty tricky until those tire pressures come up, and that's likely what we saw out of Jimbo there. He's got it all gathered back up. No real harm done. This actually could help him if tire degradation becomes a thing, because the deg is going to be much, much worse in the pack than it is, back where he is. He's not exposed to the dirty air. He's not worrying about other cars running over him necessarily or running into him. He can just kind of set his own pace and save his stuff, maybe come back at the end of the run.
Top two have broken away a little bit. Now the top three, Stretch is kind of leading that second group. They've really kind of reeled him in. We're going 3 wide through the corners now. Matty Wagner, look at him on the top. He's getting a good run. He's looking to make moves early here. He knows this championship, and there's one of his rivals that he needs to get around right there. Goodman on the bottom. He clears him. Move Matty Wagner up the 5th. Matt, this is one of these races that normally we've seen Matt start in the back, and he just kind of waits, and then as the race cycles through, then he kind of gets up into the top 5. Today, it doesn't look like he really wants to waste that much time. In fact, here he comes. He's going to look on the outside of Stretch going into 3.
Yeah, and we're going to see Matty Wagner in the 3rd place here, driving around the top of Stretch Armstrong. He's decided, I think, he's decided, I think, he cannot do that deal where he just hangs in the back and waits anymore. If he wants to compete with the Callistos, the Evans, the guys at the front of this thing, the Goodmans, he's going to have to go. I can't waste time anymore.
Well, here's Crow following them on through. Crow on the high side. He is your points leader by a single point. Now, if we were to recalculate right now, he's actually got a bigger lead because Goodman's fallen back to 9th here in this championship. Here comes Greg Evans. He's now up to 5th.
Yeah, and we're going to see this position swap in a whole lot today. Right now, though, Chris Reagan it's hard to quantify exactly how much faster he is.
Well, he's starting to turn the purple laps, 32 flat.
it's 2/10 a lap quicker than Euler, but it's half a second faster than everybody else. So either he knows something that they don't, in which case everybody else is
way up and out. Look at this groove he's choosing to drive in right now. Here he comes into 1 and 2. Let's see where he goes. He's right there in that 3rd lane, right up against the wall.
Yeah, and so in an IndyCar, that's going to make you that's going to hurt the right front a little bit more. In a stock car, especially these things, they tend to get tighter as the run goes, if you manage the tires correctly. And so if you go up top, you see how loose he is up there? You see how we
could kind of hear how loose he was when he came by us on that camera shot.
Well, watch the angle. So watch the angle of the rear of the car as he goes through. He is almost sliding the right rear tire right next to that wall. Yeah. And so that does 2 things. One, it's obviously freeing the car up, but it's saving that right front, right? Everything grips up in these cars off the right front. So by driving it off the right rear, almost like it's a sprint car, he's able...
Yeah, you can clearly see that that back end is not... Yeah, he's dirt tracking that thing a little bit.
Yeah, and that's really quick until you're backwards.
Until your tires are gone.
Well, you would think that it would wear the rears out, but it really doesn't. These cars have a pretty large slip angle to play with, where it's not like a Dallara where you have to be stable all the time. These cars, you can throw them around a little bit. They're not bias-wise.
Let's get back in the pack, though. Let's take a look at Greg Evans. He has cleared this whole pack. Actually cleared Wagner, too, and now he's up to 3rd.
Yeah, and so he's decided it's time to go to the front. And look, this series known Gary for its caution-free, long green flag runs. If ever there's a place where we're going to have a caution, it's going to be here, right? Because everybody's stacked on top of each other. I mean, look at this pack. From Greg Evans back to, really Richie Hearn, Brian Grandin, Michael Good. You throw a blanket over those cars. Mm-hmm. And so one person makes one mistake, and you could very easily get caught up in somebody else's mess. I like what Matty Wagner's doing. Okay, you're faster than me. Just go ahead on the bottom. I'm not really going to fight you. But these guys are starting to settle into a rhythm now, too.
Ooh. Like Wagner's looking like a little bit of a side draft there. It's going to cost him a little momentum going into 1 and 2, going down the backstretch. It's going to leave Crow away around. That is your points leader.
And that's air that does that. These cars, they suck into each other almost. And sometimes, especially off the corner, it can be hard when you're on the top and you've got that boundary layer of air up next to the wall pushing you down. It can be very difficult to not turn into a guy underneath it, because the way that boundary layer works, it frees you up coming off the corner. Guy on the bottom he's, by necessity, he's got understeer, and the two cars kind of suck in each other off the corner, mechanically and aero. Got some great racing back here. That is, I'm looking at, let's see, I'm looking at the 29 of Stretch Armstrong, and he is in a mess. He's got Justin Kirby and Rick D in front of him, Lionel Clisto, Brian Grainer right behind him. Those cars look like the start of this race here.
Everyone's trying to pace themselves to get to that first stop at a lap right around 43 or so as we expect the first stop.
Oh, contact.
Watching it. Yep, we're watching it. He's going through the grass. Back up onto the pavement. This is Armstrong started third. Going to go all the way to the back. This might be a good thing, though.
Saves the race car. Was it Greg Evans that made the save last week through the grass?
Yeah.
Because that's 2 weeks in a row now that we've seen a miraculous save from a guy going through the infield and turning it into a lawnmower. What a nice save by Stretch Armstrong. He's going to go to the back.
Let's watch this again, see what happens. Let's watch from his point of view. Just get loose? Does he get a little help? What's he have? Off of corner number 4.
I watched that live. I think he got a little bit of help. I don't think it was anything intentional. Kind of getting the lines coming together.
Oh, okay. So Rick D had to check up a little bit, and then that caused Stretch to get into the back of him and take evasive maneuvers, and the result of the evasive maneuvers is a dented end rear bumper for Rick D and a trip through the infield grass for Stretch Armstrong.
But they all save the cars, and there's no real damage. The bottom of that rear valance doesn't really do much.
And we'll take a look at Rick D there. There you see the... Let's get on board. Say hey, Lewis Hayes. Let's watch from his nose. There you see a little damage on Rick D's left rear bumper.
Yeah, it's crinkled a little bit. Again, I don't foresee that as having a big effect on Rick D. That's also something that during the course of pit stops, they're going to be able to fix that.
And Euler has caught up to Reagan and is now underneath him in 1 and 2, looking to make a pass for the lead here. So we're not sure what happened to Reagan, but gave up a lot of time on the racetrack. And here is Jake Euler trying to take away the lead, going into the 3, down low.
Careful. They slide up, and they almost come together off the corner there. Really racing hard. Chris Reagan has fallen off a second and a half from his prime pace. So he's able to go really hard, really hard and pull away.
Right.
But I think he's cooked the good years because Jake Euler just took the lead, and I would expect that Jake Euler now is going to be able to drive away a little bit. All that slipping and slide may have already taken its toll on the right rear of Chris Reagan.
Oh yeah, here we saw him. It's a little loose, little slidey.
That is Gary Godso, lead commentator for P1 Broadcasting, with the understatement of the week, a little slidey.
Going down to the bottom now.
Well, that's kind of out of necessity for Reagan. So, the top is going to make you more free. The bottom is going to make you a little bit more snug, just by the nature of how you have to drive it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he's doing what he can. You can't adjust the car, so the only thing you can adjust is the driving, right? So he's going to do what he can to make it handle a little bit better. But meanwhile, he's about to fall into the clutches of Greg Evans, if not Sam Crow, and then the pack is right behind them with the likes of Wagner, Kirby, and Callisto 5, 6, and 7. Well, make that Callisto 6 and Kirby 7.
If you're just joining us, this is P1's coverage of the ISRA Xfinity Series on FTN, coming to you from Lost Wages. We've completed now 23 of 134 laps. If you're enjoying P1's coverage of tonight's race on FTN, would like to monetarily support us. We are supported by your donations. Please find a link to our GoFundMe campaign in the stream's description. and send us a donation if you'd like. We realize times are tough, so any donation, no matter the amount, is greatly appreciated. 24 of 134 in the books. Euler, Evans, Reagan now back to third. Crow, Wagner, your top five. Of those in the points championship, it's Wagner and Crow. But Evans, if he keeps up this run, that an assault that on the league that he's been doing since joining the series in Charlotte, he's going to be up there in the points battle not too long from now. With only a couple races to go after this. Next week is Darlington, and then we're going to finish up the series. We're going to go to, let's see, I think Homestead possibly? Yes, Homestead, and then Talladega. So a lot of things are possible here in these last couple of weeks. Reagan just trying to keep wow, he just power slide all the way through turn 4.
Yeah, and here's an indication of how much he's cooked those tires. So he was a half a second a lap quicker than everybody else the first 4 or 5 laps of this race. He's now a half a second slower.
Yeah, he's in the 34s. He's the only car in the 34s other than one other a little bit further in the back. But he is struggling at the moment, and really it does him no good to stop right now.
No, and because it would just be an extra stop. So he's going to have to toughen this out now for another 20 laps or so, and that's the other thing. Earliest you can stop is, what, 40?
It's going to be 43, I think.
Yeah, I mean, so he's going to have to tough this out for another, 16 laps at the very least.
Yeah, it's going to be 44, maybe 45 actually.
Yeah,
and that's another 20 laps, give or take, from this point.
Yeah, now Sam Crow is going to draw a beat on him. We're looking at the 8, just turn left right underneath the power sliding 19. Sam just he'll even him up down the front here, and I would assume that Sam Crow likely will have the position going in coming off of turn 2. Just the handling on the 19 has gone so far away from running those extremely fast early laps. And poor Chris Reagan, the hit parade isn't going to stop because...
No, they're all lined up behind him.
Yeah, they're all lined up behind him. Now, he's fighting Sam Crow pretty hard here because I think he knows, he's going to have to use up Sam if he's going to have any chance of maintaining any sort of track position. But there goes Sam Crow. Next in line is going to be Matty Wagner. And then another guy that likes to drive his car pretty loose, that's Lionel Callisto, lined up right behind the stock car race in 6th.
Just watching the action as it develops here. Again, thanks for watching this big week this week for broadcast wherever we are. You can find P1 tomorrow night, the IndyCar Oval Series at Legacy, Kentucky. We'll probably see Murph and Clindy in the lineup for that one, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Tomorrow, let's see iRacing IndyCar Oval Series Tuesday night top split. Then on the 17th, Wednesday, we have a Wednesday doubleheader, day-night doubleheader, actually. 2 p.m. Eastern will be the EGP Hypercar Sprint Series. And later that night, we will be bringing you the 9 p.m. opening session of the IndyCar iRacing Series at Montreal, their top split. That's a special Wednesday presentation. And then Friday, over on the Velocity Online Racing channel, we will bring you the Ford EW12 series from, I think it is, Iowa. So big race weekend at Iowa for the NTT IndyCar Series this weekend. Team Penske swept the weekend. Not the greatest racing. Speaking of Team Penske, we are watching the Matt Wagner Penske livery that he's running here. Not the greatest racing in the world because of the repave of the corners of that track. But Penske swept the weekend. Will Power getting his 43rd win, I believe, and that moves him ahead of Michael Andretti for 4th all alone all time. And Scotty Mack got his first oval win on Saturday night.
So 2 things about that. The first is I bet that was a heck of a party Sunday when they left that point, between Willie P and Scotty Mack. The second thing that I want to note, Chris Reagan has now fallen behind that pack of cars. He's now 8th. He's got a little bit of distance back to Michael Goodman, Say Lewis Hayes, Brian Grandin, Pepto Joe, Mike Rigney. They're all kind of running in a knot.
Yeah, Callisto and Wagner now side by side watching this battle. This is important point implications.
But Reagan's gonna be back there behind them here in 4 or 5 more laps. You know, they're still 0.3 of a second. 0.3 of a second.
Ooh,
down.
Kirby getting around Wagner this time. Last week's winner.
Yeah, and I think Matty's suffering from the same thing that Chris Reagan is. I think he went too hard too early, and got too much heat in those tires, and now there's just no grip left in them. You can't cool them off because the track is so hot. We're looking at a track temp right now, Gary, 138 degrees. It is hot out in the Vegas sun. And that does not do the tires on these cars any good. They're really, really starting to fall off pretty bad now. Greg Evans, a little bit over a second slower than his best. Chris Reagan, over 2 seconds off of his best time. He's got the purple lap.
And we see Hearn. Hearn's normally one of the victims of going very hard early and then struggling late. He's been kind of just hanging with this group. He gets around Wagner. Hearn is now up to 6th. Let's check Evans, who is now our leader, got around Euler. We did not see that happen with the battle back there for the kind of that was closer in the points championship, but Euler now has kind of scooted himself away by about 0.6 over Euler. And Sam Crow now reeling in Euler. This is important as well because this is your points leader. And every position that he can improve and better himself at and get to the end of this race and finish better than his chief rivals gives him a little bit bigger buffer. It's only 1 point right now between himself and Michael Goodman, who is in 8th.
Absolutely. Give a call down to Stretch Armstrong. He went all the way to the back after that slide through the grass. Made it back up to 13th, and he's running pretty reasonable pace. Matter of fact, that last time just a hair quicker than Greg Evans. So nice recovery for the 29 Stretch Armstrong. Kind of look at him.
Man, he's not that far away from Reagan, our early leader, as he and Rigney are fighting out the tri-oval area.
Yeah, the tale of two strategies, right? Pat kind of...
And the earliest he can pit is only another 7 laps. I mean, so it's not like he can pull in right now.
Well, you could, but you're just going to pay that price. You're going to pay that price a lot worse further on down the line. You know what I mean? So,
Remember, there are tire and fuel limits here in the ISRA. 75% fuel in these cars. 4 sets of tires they get to use for the race. They get to start on a set and then 3 in the pits. And the way that this race might go, it's probably going to be a 2-stopper for everybody. So there will be an extra set if there is an incident late in the race and a possible green-white checker, possible late 20-lap sprint or something where new tires are going to benefit. A lot of teams will have an extra set the way that the math's going to work out. We shall see.
Battle for second, Sam Crow to the bottom. Jake Euler is at the top of the speedway. They're going to have it out over second here. Meanwhile, Greg Evans continues to lead. Lionel Callisto has now cleared and pulled away from Justin Kirby.
And he's approaching the battle between Crow and Euler right now.
Yeah, and just, you'll always hear it said, the 2 cars battling side by side. All they're doing is slowing each other down. Now, Sam Crow, he'll finally clear Jake Euler and move himself up to second, put Euler back to third. Once again, the go hard early strategy might be coming back to bite Euler. Did he go too early? Because here comes Callisto, and Euler has fallen off. Not nearly as bad as Chris Reagan, but he is still just a touch or two of the stopwatch slower than the cars around him.
And next up for Will Power on the IndyCar all-time wins list is Mario Andretti with 52 wins. So a little bit of a haul for Will before he can get to third all-time. But I expect Will is probably good for another win or so this season. Certainly in the points battle. Here comes Callisto underneath Euler, who had a bit of a close call with the turn 4 wall, and move Callisto, our Truck Series champion, up to 3rd. Speaking of the Truck Series, the ISRA Truck Series Season 2, tentatively scheduled to start on the 19th, of August. And a little bit later start time as well. I think we're looking at, we've been told possibly expect maybe a 9:45 start time to allow more competition and more participation on the West Coast for those folks. So we're looking for a slightly bigger field, but that is your defending champion right there. It's going to be a slightly larger schedule with probably removing the plate tracks, which is a good thing. And we remember we had Plate Atlanta and the Daytona as the first 2 rounds of the championship. We'll be removing those 2 and adding 2 other tracks and possibly on the schedule to take it out to 10, because there was only 8 in the inaugural season. 1 more short track, I've been told, and a road course.
Now that ought to be fun.
So things to look forward to, and that will all be on P1. So make sure that to subscribe to our channel at P1 Broadcasting. Right now you're on FTN Broadcasting. They've been gracious to pick up the remainder of the season coverage of the ISRA. And here comes Lionel Callisto sliding his car on the pit road.
Yeah, so pit stop started at lap 42. Chris Reagan decided that he'd had enough.
Yeah, but
he was the first car in.
Graydon is also in as well. He hit pit road. Hearn hit pit road. Euler hit pit road. He's on his out lap. So let's watch.
Hugo Gallas also came to pit road, and I believe Hugo has retired.
Oh, no.
57 car.
54 on pit road. That is Jimbo Pfeiffer. It's a scheduled stop. Sam Crow on pit road along with Justin Kirby. Sam Crow, your leader in the points by a single point, has not won a race at all this season, but is still our points leader based upon consistency. Kirby slides a little too forward into his box.
That'll happen, especially at a track like this. You don't use the brakes a whole lot here, so they're cold. The discs are cold. The pads are cold. They don't grab very well when they're cold. And if you got the brake bias wrong, you can very easily slide these cars. As heavy as they are, they don't stop very well, especially the first time. And you kind of see it there. He just kind of overcooked it a little bit. It's not really going to hurt him too awful bad, I don't think.
Here's Matt Wagner as your leader. He has not stopped. He's the only car who've not stopped. He is going super long, and this might be where he decides he is going to come down pit road. We'll see. Here he is. Is he getting down to the bottom? Yes, there he is, watching the fire come out the side as he brings downshifts, brings the car down to the pit road speed limit of, I think it's 50 miles an hour. Yeah, 50 miles an hour.
Brian Grandin, by the way, just set your new purple lap. So
and this will turn the lead over to Evans, who is coming off of pit road, actually. And he's going to... actually, I thought that was going to turn the lead over. The leader right now is Wagner as he's on pit road. Richie Hearn is going to pick up the lead coming off of corner number 2. Hearn somehow cycled to the top, and I'm willing to bet that was an aggressive approach to pit road, and he made up a ton of time there. Richie Hearn is your leader. Jake Euler second. Evans is now third on the bottom there. As Euler and Evans now battling with fresh tires, or fresher tires. But Richie Hearn is your leader that I'm showing.
Richie Hearn is the leader, at least for me as well. I will say this, that's one of the areas that when you differentiate between certainly pros like Richie Hearn and amateurs like me is getting on and off pit road. That's really kind of where you see the purple lap, by the way, is going crazy. Mike Rigney just got it down to 31,909. So these guys are really turning it up, even though the track temperature is also turned up to 137 degrees now. These guys are really turning it up. Track's getting some rubber on it. starting to grip up for him a little bit. But that's where you see the advantage is getting on and off pit road. It's not uncommon to see somebody like Richie Hearn. You race with, we've seen Chase
Evans has reached turn and has passed him for the lead. It's in turn 2 down the backstretch, so move Evans back up. But that cycled through. He did not cycle in the leader and come out the leader. There's your race summary, 49 of 134, coming to 50 laps complete here, and 4 lead changes.
Absolutely. I'm trying to quite figure out how Richie did that. So he was 40.6 seconds on pit lane, 14.8 in the box. So he was actually slower on and off pit road.
He was slower on and off pit road and slower in the box than Hearn, but beat him out. The only thing I can think of is that when his in laps and out laps had to be better than Evans.
Well, he also short stopped him by 4 laps too.
Shorter fill.
Well, not shorter fill,
but even though it's shorter fill, but it's still, he was in the pit. He was in the box longer. Says the math.
More like 4 seconds on the racetrack from the short pit, I think. But also the entry and exit does come into play, Gary, because somebody like Richie is going to be that much more aggressive getting to the speed.
Oh, that's an open wheeler thing. That's an open wheeler trait. Now we see the stock cars drivers have picked this up recently, but the open wheelers, that's pretty much the MO is you hit pit road hard, on and off.
Yeah, you have to, because the cars are so close that any advantage you can gain anywhere is huge. We're starting to kind of see Richie trail off a little bit. I don't think that's necessarily.
Greg Evans going down low. He's going to let Euler right on by.
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
Evans goes ahead and pulls a Mark Martin, just waves him on by. A strategy that I approve of.
Go ahead, young man. Right, we saw what happened.
Cycle all the way to the back there.
Yeah, we saw what happened to Jake Euler and Chris Reagan on that first run. Rocket fast for about 20-25 laps, and then go straight to the back. We're seeing the same thing. Jake Euler 4/10 of a second a lap quicker than everybody else up there. So that tells me that he might be driving those tires just a little bit too hard early, and we'll see him come back. Right. But I love
they're going to be complaining
momentum
about tires this week. Wait till next week.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. We raced Indy cars at Darlington during the dark times, and the tires were like, we were going full runs, and the tires were coming off at like 92, 91, 90%. They weren't hurting them at all. It's kind of an interesting thing. But yeah, we'll have guys getting meatballs next week for tires for sure.
And I can only count on my hand maybe just a couple of fingers the number of races that I've actually broadcasted from at the Darlington. We did one for the VRL, their truck series. I believe that might have been the first and only Darlington race. But yeah, during the dark times, it was on that season 4 2022 schedule, and it was also going to be on the Revolution Indy League schedule that upcoming season that we were going to broadcast for them. And, of course, iRacing and the whole licensing deal with Motorsport Games and IndyCar kind of yanked that away. So we have yet to ever see, at least my broadcast experience, Indy cars at Darlington, even though it's happened one time in real life, although way back in the 1950s.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So those cars race completely differently at Darlington.
I bet they do.
Stock cars. It's weird, though, in that it's very... Stock cars, you've got tire fall off. In the open wheel cars, you really didn't. It was very processional, and it's almost like well, it's not almost like, it's exactly like a narrow Motegi in the way it races.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an interesting exercise. I don't know if I want to do it again, but it was interesting to try it once, kind of like going to Wilkesboro was. I don't ever want to do that again. That's the only time in the sim, people ask, do you ever get dizzy, right? Because of the graphics, and having the surround monitors and stuff? And the answer is no. I've never experienced that, except for when we went crazy and took Indy cars to North Wilkesboro. That I got dizzy. That was hard to keep your mind focused. It was that fast.
Well, season 4 of 2024 will include 13 weeks instead of 12 weeks coming up on the. That will also be on P1, and the 13th week will be a visit to the iRacing Superspeedway. So that will be our first. That will be my first IndyCar broadcast there.
Oh boy!
Oh boy! Yeah.
I am not looking forward to that.
let's resolve. Let's figure out who's going to be the champion of the IndyCar Oval Series, and let's put iRacing Superspeedway as the last week. Nice, that's a nice one. Let's go through this field and reset here before we get to the next round of pit stops. Jake Euler is your leader. Richie Hearn and Greg Evans are battling for P2 at the moment, side by side off of 4. And Justin Kirby, last week's winner, he is a very interested party involved in this battle. Just hanging out. He's in 4th. Lionel Callisto, your Truck Series champion. He is in 5th. Sam Crow, 6th. He is your Point Series leader. Right there in the number 8 in currently P6. Chris Reagan, your pole sitter tonight. Led very early, struggled halfway through that first stint. Now is back on good tires along with everyone else. And he is now 7th. Stretch Armstrong is 8th after doing a little weeding of the front stretch, so to speak, early in the race. The front stretch grass, but he's good to go in 8th spot. Rigney in 9th. 2nd in the points, Michael Goodman by 1 point just behind Sam Crow is currently 10th on the racetrack. The one struggling, and we'll get back to him here right now, is Matt Wagner in this group of 3 cars with Graydon and Pepto Joe. Wagner did not have himself a good pit stop. I think he probably stayed out a bit longer than he wanted to. I think what he's thinking is that his last stop was probably going to be a shorter fill than everyone, but I don't think that's going to make up enough time on the racetrack for him. That might have been a costly decision at this point in time. I don't know. I'm just calling the race. You're the color commentator. You could probably tell me that or not. But he is one of our points leaders in this points championship, and he is now 13th. And that is not a good way to keep pace with the rest of the guys that are really in that top 4.
So I think, the mark for laps is 45. Anything under 45, called the undercut. The undercut is designed to get you on fresher tires, to get you track position relative to the guys that stay out later. You have the overcut, which is what Matt did. He is on, by my count,
he's on a 16th lap of this stint right now.
Right. So by my count, he's on 2 lap fresher tires than everybody else.
Yeah, he went 47 laps on that first stint, by the way. A lap longer than everyone else.
So the way this pays off for him is if you continue to have long green flag runs. We documented, the struggles of Chris Reagan, Jake Euler, etc. later on in a run. We talked about that.
Here comes Kirby to the lead underneath Euler into 3. Side by side. Evans is going to follow him on through. Evans might actually try to battle for the lead here coming off the corner. I think he's just going to follow through Kirby and last week's winner to the top.
But to finish my thought,
yeah, go to there.
Where that plays out is at the end. And so if everybody is just doing a standard 45, 45, 45, Wagner has now positioned himself to do 47, 47, 40, or 41. And what that does is in a tire save situation, on that last run, you can push your stuff that much harder, knowing that you don't have to save it for the end. It also puts you in a position where pitting under green here is going to put you a lap down, no matter what. And so one of the only times that you're going to see a caution in a race this spread out is somebody, spinning out, getting on the pit road. It's a very real possibility.
Speaking of pit road, Jimbo Pfeiffer on pit road for an extended stop. We haven't really talked about him, but not sure what happened. But go ahead, continue.
Yeah, he's been in a box for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But one of the only chances that you're going to see to have a caution, especially in a field like this, is guys getting on and off a pit road.
Yes.
It's very difficult to get the
Although
cars
we got a group of 4 that are pretty close together right here. We got Hearn, Euler, Hearn, Crow, and Callisto. Keep going.
We do. And so it's very difficult to get these cars slowed down. It's very easy to lock the rear brakes and spin it out getting on a pit road. And the exit road here is very, very slick. It's very dusty and very slick.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really easy to make those mistakes. We saw my good friend, teammate Jesper Orman make that mistake at Iowa on Saturday. And a very rare mistake from Jesper, but it does happen. It happened
but
to
he
Adam
still
Blocker.
he still managed to come back and get himself a podium.
Well, he did, and that goes to how good it goes to how good Jesper is, and how I think I lived out Marco Brazil's description of me, but we'll let that pass. No, I mean, when you see guys like Adam Blocker made that mistake in the Indy Elite Series, when you see guys of that caliber make a mistake getting on pit road, it's possible, and you can be playing at that too. It could be a situation where, hey, somebody spins it out coming on pit road, you're the last one out, you're a lap up, and that worked out real well for me Saturday, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, you said last week when you were in the booth with us that the caution fell at the wrong time for you in the open broadcast from Iowa, but in the IS broadcast, the caution fell for you at the perfect time.
I think I told Clindy after that I had 0.02 gallons in the tank when I rolled into the pit box. The dasher had 0.02. There was, it wouldn't have run another 10 feet. So, but the bad part is, the caution giveth and the caution taketh away. At Iowa, you would have everybody 2 laps down. But because I had already started to slow as Sam Crow goes underneath, that's a 78. So that's Big John a lap
Big
down.
John
there.
is a lap down. Here comes Hearn. No, Hearn's checking out the apron here. Oh, getting squirrely a little bit.
There's a definite transition, and if you miss it, it'll turn the car loose coming back up on a racetrack. You got to be real careful with that. But caution giveth, caution taketh away. Had that happened 1 lap sooner, I'd have been in much better position because I had already slowed to hit pit road, and that's what kept Malechka and them guys 1 lap down instead of 2. Had it been 2 laps down, I could have cruised home. But I'm not gonna cry over 4th place. We'll take it.
Pit stop soon. A lot of these guys now, I should say soon, probably about their 20 laps or so that we expect the next round the pit stops to occur. Somewhere in the 90s.
Anywhere between 80 and 90 would be scheduled. I would think Matty Wagner is going to go until 90.
Here's a big run by Crow off of 4 down the main straight on Euler. He was just able to get into the power much, much sooner than Jake, and now he's underneath them going in the 1, and he clears them. Move our points leader up to 3rd. Now can he run down this top 2 of Kirby and Evans?
Well, and so Euler drove really hard at the beginning of the run, right? Just like he did last time. Ran the car up to the front. Well, in these cars, when you overdrive them, you tend to cook the rears. Unlike an open wheel car where you cook the front. And so that's what we're seeing out of Jake Euler. He has very little grip coming off the corner, and because he doesn't have a lot of grip coming off the corner, it hurts you down the straightaway, so on and so on and so on. It's lifting at the same point, the Sam Crow, but he just doesn't watch Sam just drive away off the exit here. Down the back. It's not as pronounced now because Jake's got the draft, but I would expect to see Sam Crow just edge away off the corner. There it happened off of 4. He's just going to edge away coming off the corner lap after lap after lap. That problem, by the way, is only going to be exacerbated by the fact that it's 138 degrees on track at the moment. So the track is continuing to get hotter. It is not cooling. It's getting hotter. one of the reasons I like racing here at night.
Crow is reeling these top two in. Got him down to 1.2 seconds. 1.2 the interval.
Yeah, and Greg Evans is almost pushing Justin Kirby down the front there. It almost feels to me as though Greg Evans is sitting behind Kirby, saving either fuel, tires, or both. But watch him come down the front here. Last time he pulled right, and he was pushing the 58 down the front straight.
Kirby, last week's winner. And we got Evans, who has won, I think, 5 of the last 8 races that we've had.
Something like that. He's
like
won
that.
a bunch.
Yeah.
He's won a bunch. I'm surprised they haven't put a bounty on him, to be honest. But I'll tell you what he's putting on Justin Kirby is a lot of pressure, and he is deliberately not passing him. I'm on board with Greg Evans right now. You can visibly see him roll out of the throttle before the 58. Justin Kirby's going to slide up. But you can see him roll out of the throttle before Kirby's lifting point. Now there he doesn't, because he's probably going to take a little bit of exception to...
Oh, Kirby getting loose there. I think he just moves up out of the way and let Evans on by to the lead.
Yeah.
Evans is now your new leader again. About another 10 laps or so from the earliest that we expect pit stops. Evans won at Charlotte, which was our round 4, then round 5 and 6, which are Dover and New Hampshire. Then he finished second in a heck of a battle to Michael Goodman in Atlanta. And then finished, unfortunately, was going to finish either first or second at Kansas Speedway in a heck of a battle with Vern Hawkins there at the end. Fortunately, though, they came together on the white flag lap going in the 1, and Hawkins came out on the other side of that one. But then Greg came back to his winning ways at our visit to Bristol in the start of this month. Justin Kirby won last week at Michigan, so we're here at Vegas. This is round 11. Round 12 is Darlington. Round 13 is Miami. And then round 14, which will be Championship Monday here in about 3 weeks from now. Talladega Superspeedway, August 5th, will be the finale of the series. And we shall see. We'll crown a new champion, in addition to crowning a Truck Series champion already once this year. And then we wait a week, and then we will kick off Season 2 of the ISRA Truck Series.
Pit stops, by the way, Gary, have begun. Richie Hearn has already hit pit road.
He hit right at 80, yep.
He did so at 80, so he's going to have to go 54 laps to end this race. Don't think you can get there on fuel. I think Richie's banking on the caution to hit, somewhere around lap 110. Because if that happens, he'll be the leader. He's going to make up 8 to 10 seconds here on the field, so he'll be the leader by a nice margin. And then you get a caution somewhere, after everybody's been out on their tires for 10 or 15 laps. Everybody's got to come to pit road now. It's even Steven on tires near the leader. And he just, to show you how much new tires are worth, he just drove around Matty Wagner like the stock car race had a trunk full of cement.
Here he comes on Big John. Yeah, you look how much faster he is in just that shot alone. Here he is, just going to dive underneath him, right on by.
Yeah, it makes you feel like Superman when you've got new tires and everybody else is on. He's
a battle Euler. He's in a battle here with Chris Reagan, who is currently a lap down. I think Euler, Reagan must have just stopped. He stopped on 69, so no, he's 15 laps in. That run where he just hemorrhaged all that time is probably coming back to haunt him right now.
Yeah, and that stop at 69 is just kind of, I don't want to say waving the white flag, but that's acknowledgement. Hey, I can't make the tires work for 40 some odd laps. I'm just gonna do a 3-stopper instead of 2. That puts him right in line to stop about lap 100. Meanwhile, again, I'm thinking, what is the lead going to be for Richie Hearn, and is he going to get that caution that's going to save his race? You've got the car coming off pit road. That is
Euler, I think, has gone back to 7th, but he's fallen back.
yeah.
Pit road out. Brandon Graydon is currently on an out lap.
Okay, so that would make sense. But we're going to see guys start to surrender here. We're in that window now, that 43, 44 lap window. And so which one of the front runners is going to blink and try to see if they can gain an advantage, a big advantage over Greg Evans? Because Evans, you know, he stayed out longer than everybody else.
Evans stayed out 46 laps. The only person that stayed out longer than him was Wagner.
Well, and that's what's so amazing about Greg Evans. It's not just that he's faster, it's that he's also staying out longer. You know, he's a full 10th quicker than Kirby. He's a little bit slower than Sam Crow, a little bit slower than Lionel Clisto, but those guys are a clear 10th to 2/10 quicker than everybody else. That's on old tires. Now, Richie Hearn's out running, you know, 2.5 quicker than everybody else, but
Evans with a 1.3 second lead over Kirby now.
here comes Jake Euler to pit road.
Jake Euler to pit road.
And that, again, that's right on schedule, 89, so he's going to have 45 to the finish.
Watch him hit pit road up on the jacks. Being a fresh set of tires. And enough fuel to make it through the last of this run here. Should be his final stop.
Don't want to say it, Gary. We've made it 2/3 of the way through here. With
Another 90 laps of green flag racing here in the ISRA. Our trademark, our MO.
Well, remember how I said that this was a very cerebral series? And
Here comes Kirby. Kirby coming to pit road. Yes.
So the way that Greg Evans got by,
And Callisto on pit road. Yep. Go ahead.
the way that Greg Evans got by Jake Euler earlier, that was very cerebral. He moved him, but he never touched him.
Right.
And he did so using a lot of skill and some virtual air, but he never touched him. And that's just the intelligence that it takes to do that, and the discipline is absolutely amazing to run a guy like that lap after lap. Sam Crow hits pit road and nearly collected by Brandon. I thought for a minute Brandon was gonna hit him. But good avoidance by both men.
Oh, here comes Rigney. Here comes Armstrong. Pit road. Final stops. Crow.
7 of Greg Evans going to hit pit road.
Watching Crow right now, our points leader, down and away. His final stop is done. Evans, pit road.
Yep.
Is on his marks.
So the stock car race will now lead it from Michael Goodman. Say hey, Lewis Hayes has not stopped, although he's now going to hit pit road. So move Richie Hearn to second. Hearn has stopped. Wagner has not. Hearn 13 laps
Yeah, Wagner expect right before 100. Right before 100.
Did what, 47 last
48,
time?
40. Said he lapped on 40. Pitt didn't lap 48, but did 47 laps.
Okay, so the stock car race is praying for a caution right now.
Yeah, he's going to be 94, 95, where his next for his pit stop. So right in, and he's in the window right now.
Right. And when he does,
Here he comes.
Here he is. Now he's going to give up the lead to
Hearn.
Richie Hearn. Hearn has a 2.5-second lead over
Chris
Reagan. Chris Reagan is not going to figure into this though, because he's got at least one more stop after this. Whereas theoretically, everybody now is done, right? So that's going to put it back to Justin Kirby as the first car in line on the two stop. Kirby is, by my calculation, and I'm trying to make sense of it here, is about 6 seconds behind Richie Hearn. Greg Evans goes purple, by the way.
There is Hearn, your leader. Reagan is P2. Right behind him is Justin Kirby, who managed to put himself ahead of Evans by a pretty decent margin right now. There's only 2 laps separating those two in terms of when they pitted, but right now the interval between those two on the racetrack is 2.3 seconds. So right now, Kirby has now moved ahead of Reagan, and that has put him 3. Actually 2. Yeah, still right at about 2 seconds still on Chris Greg Evans. Chris Evans is Captain America. But anyways. As we get to the final stages, because Kirby does not need to race Hearn necessarily. Hearn's going to have to do some fuel saving or get a caution, and I don't think he'd do enough fuel saving to make the distance anyways. No. Kirby could just pass Hearn when he pits. All he needs to do is worry about keeping Evans behind him.
Now, even with all that, Justin Kirby is going to catch Richie Hearn here. And be by him within the next 3 laps. Beyond that, Greg Evans absolutely hammered down. Just set the purple lap. He's 0.2 a lap quicker than Justin Kirby. He's got 2 lap fresher tires, right? So he knows there's more in the bank spin there. That's going to be a lot of fun when those two hook up and get together. They're about 2 seconds. 2 seconds and a hiccup apart as we work lap 99.
Once again, if you're just joining us, you're watching P1's coverage of round 11 of 14 of the ISRA Xfinity Series on FTN, coming to you from Lost Wages. We're currently, right now, IndyCar driver who got his first IndyCar win, and only IndyCar win, right here at this very racetrack, is Richie Hearn. He currently leads with right about 34 laps to go. He might need to make another stop. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next race. Also, don't forget your commentary team. We do these for donations. We are powered by your contributions. So please, if you'd like to contribute to our broadcast fund, our link to our GoFundMe campaign is in the description. And please stop on by there and drop us a donation. We certainly would appreciate it. We realize times are tough. Any little bit that you can throw our way, we certainly would appreciate it. In the middle of the final stint now here for the run at Las Vegas. And in typical ISRA fashion, no cautions yet to this point.
No, and we've got 33 to go coming to the line. We've got Justin Kirby has arrived at the rear of Richie Hearn. Greg Evans, just like Death and Taxes, is going to be along here very shortly. And we're about to have a Royale feed. It'll be in reverse this time. It's been Kirby running down Evans before. Evans run Kirby. Lionel Callisto, 4 seconds behind this battle. Don't know if he's going to be able to figure into Sam Crow running 5th. He's had the best long run car throughout the day, even slightly faster than Evans, but he is quite a ways back. He's almost 4.5 seconds behind him. So.
Well, let's take a look at the point situation one more time to remind everybody what things are going on here. Crow is your leader. He is currently Crow is in 5th spot. as we will remove the points momentarily. There is Crow in 5th spot. So his chief rival, we'll bring back the points one more time, is Michael Goodman. Goodman is back in 10th, all by himself.
Yes,
and that is the chief battle. There's only 1 point separating these two. Now we go back to the points one more time, and Matt Wagner is 3rd. He's only 6 points behind 2nd place, and he's only 7 points behind the leader. But unfortunately, he is in 12th on the racetrack. Now, maybe this shakes out for him in this last stint, where he is able to push much more harder than everyone else.
And that's his plan, right? That's his ace left in the hole. You'd be proud I did not break out in this song at all. Meanwhile, Greg Evans is now Justin Kirby. So those two are right together. They've gotten by Richie Hearn. And Richie, plainly, he needs a caution. He needs a caution. I don't know that he's going to make it on gas. Even if he does, I don't think the tires are.
Yeah.
But he did the thing, right? If you're back there 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, why not throw the dice? Wagner's doing the same thing, just in a different way. Evans looking to the high side.
And, Kirby's giving it to him. He's giving a wide berth up high. He's got now it's crowding him a little bit up high. Not a lot of room separating those two going through 3 and 4.
That makes me so nervous when they do that. You're not supposed to be able to lean on each other, right?
Well, these guys are regular stock car drivers, so they're going to be used to this, whereas a lot of the guys in the lineup that are the IndyCar guys are not used to leaning on like that. And there he goes. Evans pulls off the pass, is now back to the lead, but Kirby is there, keeping him in sight.
Well, and with those tires that are slightly older, I don't know that Justin Kirby the firepower to fight back here. He might, it might be.
I mean, his tires, they're not that much older.
They're not, but two laps makes
2 laps. They're not that much older.
But that can make a huge difference, especially when you're talking about track at 138F and how hot those tires are getting. It's not so much the tread wear life, it's the heat.
So Evans is good to go to the end, we believe. So is Kirby. Hearn, we don't think so. That now moves Callisto into the bottom step of the podium position here, unless there's a caution. If there's a caution, then everything that throws everything aside. But right now, we do believe Hearn's going to have to stop early here before getting to the end. So that is going to move Crow one more position up in the 4th and another shot at a podium finish, which will probably do his championship run a lot of good, especially considering his chief rivals are barely in the top 10.
Yeah, and Sam Crow is right in the hip pocket of Lionel Callisto. We know that Sam Crow has a much better long run car. They are both running up.
There they go. Here, this is the battle for 3rd right now. They're all lining up right now. Here we go.
3rd, 4th, 5th. Sam Crow going to toss it down to the bottom. It might behoove him to just let Callisto make the hole, follow him through.
And that's what he's doing.
And then dispose of, I think he heard me, dispose of Richie Hearn separate, or dispose of Callisto separately. He's got the speed. Don't use up your stuff here trying to get 2 for 1.
Richie Hearn won the inaugural Indy Racing League event here back in 1996 in the Della Pena Motorsports Ralph Food for Less Renard he had back then.
Cosworth power, of course, in that car.
Yeah.
Beautiful cars, those were. to be completely honest.
And that was set on a slightly older configuration of this track. Think of Legacy Kentucky, kind of like that, a lot flatter.
Yeah, and
for at least a season, and I think maybe a couple seasons. No, at least no, only one season. The finale was here. So the 96-97 Indy Racing League finale was here. That was a race won by Eliseo Salazar. That's kind of a rare scheduling a gaffe that Tony George. Oof, look at Richie all over the bumper of Crow. But Tony George wanted to end the Indy 500 or make the Indy 500 the last race on the calendar for the IRL, so it called for a split-year schedule, and a lot of the sponsors didn't like that, so they dropped that. That was one of the first things they dropped. Oh, and I saw that too, as Callisto was power sliding through 3 and 4. So that's why the 96 and 97 IRL season has on it New Hampshire, Phoenix, and Las Vegas and Indianapolis twice.
Go on board with Lionel Callisto. He's doing the thing where he's doing
the thing. He's doing the thing.
He's doing the thing. Like, watch here. He's just all the way almost hard over.
Here it is. Yep.
I would like to thank Lionel Callisto, by the way, for listening to the broadcast. He changed his uniform. He put on the white gloves, so we can see his hands now in the cockpit of the two. But he is sliding that deuce all over the place, man. So much fun to watch. And you're Sam Crow and you're sitting back behind a car doing that, and you're going, do I even want to get up next to this guy or not? Right? I don't want to go by him high, because you're afraid to slide into you. Mm-hmm. Even with the car control that Lionel Callisto had, you're afraid he's going to slide into you. You don't really want to get underneath.
Yeah.
How do you get by a guy like that? Speaking of getting by guys like that, Brian Grandin came in and put on tires. He's going to blow by Sam Crow, and he's going to have a look at Lionel Callisto here. But you got to be careful going around a car. You got to be careful going around a car like that on the bottom, just because of the speed difference. Richie Hearn has hit pit road, so he's given up the ghost as well.
Sorry, I misspoke. It was only New Hampshire and Las Vegas that were on the schedule twice. But go ahead.
But you'll go by that car with such a speed differential that it'll almost suck it around. And so you got to be careful of that too. It's an interesting dynamic, and Sam's just sitting there trying to figure out, okay, how do I do this? Or do I just wait? Is it naturally going to happen? Meanwhile, Fast Hands go up. I don't see how he does it, but just watching him hang on to it for the next 16 laps is going to be worth the price of admission. My goodness, he saws on that wheel, Gary. And it's only going to get worse. Track up to 139 now. 139. Do we have 140 from virtual Mother Nature?
17 to go here, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Your leader, Greg Evans, looking for his, I guess it would be his 5th win here in the series this season. And there's Callisto in the wall, and that's going to interrupt his momentum. Crow might have had the roll out of it, but Crow's going to take a look going into 3 and 4 down low. I think Crow rolled out of it. It's going to cost him some momentum.
Well, momentum or not, he's going to get by here one way or another soon. We mentioned that this track has been reconfigured. It was at one time much more flat. Homestead, of course, has had
Homestead is the Kardashian of racetracks. They've had more work done at Homestead since they've been born.
The grandstand is still the same, but everything about that track otherwise is different.
The first configuration of Homestead was the Mini Indy. Then they went with the flat paperclip, and then they went back with the progressively banked current configuration they're in now.
Which is about like old Atlanta, just progressively bad.
Kind of like old Atlanta, yeah. Although, really, when you know as well as I do, when you race that thing, the exit of turn 2 is nothing like the exit of turn 4.
No. And by old Atlanta, I mean the oval.
Yeah,
Atlanta,
the old 24-degree of banking all the way around Atlanta, yeah.
Yeah. I've thought about this a little bit. If I were to build, and good golly, he slides that car. If you were to build a track now, I'd almost like to see almost like a flat 2-miler. So like Michigan, but with the corners, you'd have but with the corners,
Ooh,
like banked like
sorry,
Indy.
I even though Reagan's kind of out of it, he smacks the wall coming off a 2, and he's just behind this battle for third. Yeah,
so if you had
the problem with racetracks now. Oh, Callisto doing it again, sliding. He's doing the thing, but we've seen more deaths of super speedways here recently than we've seen births of super speedways. We've seen the death, of course, of Ontario. We've seen the death of Texas World, and now Fontana. So if we're going to build another speedway, I don't know if a super speedway is going to do it. But I've kind of had my fill of short tracks. Although really the perfect short track, at least for IndyCar size of things, is really Iowa.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see a mile Iowa. Like,
I think then that's called Pikes Peak.
Yeah, I mean, and Pikes Peak exists. I mean,
yes.
The infrastructure is gone, but the track is still there. Sam Crow's still...
Here comes, Richie Hearn with new tires. Going to take a 3 wide down the backstretch, possibly. He's Reagan is his teammate. I suspect Reagan probably will check up and let him go.
Oh, boy.
And that's going to be enough to cause Callisto to check up. Here comes Sam Crow down low. 12 to go up front. No battle there. Watching the battle for the bottom step of the podium right here. Crow looking for another consecutive podium appearance.
I still feel like Sam Crow is almost refusing to pass Lionel Clifton. He's doing the deal that Greg Evans did to Jake Euler earlier, where he's just running him just hard enough to make him overwork his stuff, and it just makes it that easier when he has to.
Yeah. And we'll watch the back end of Callisto's car coming off there. You see it sliding. Oh. And now Crow's like, okay, I've seen enough. We're now 10 to go. It's time to put this into the bank. I got a championship I need to win here now. Goodman, his chief rival in points, is now 8th.
My
Wagner is 10th.
My life has flashed before my eyes
multiple times. Yes, multiple times.
Holy Moses. I am looking out the back of...
Oh, there he goes, slide again.
There was just such a great shot out the back of Sam Crow there, watching Lionel Clifton get 30 degrees sideways almost, and then just gently brings it back. He does it every time.
Now watch again here. Going through 3 and 4. 3 and 4 is where he's been the most loose. There you see when you see the side of the guy's car behind you, that means he's loose.
Well, but he's driving it that way. The car's not set up to do that. He's making it do that, right? With throttle inputs and steering inputs and line.
8 to go. Evans has a 1.2 second lead now over Kirby. And Evans is kind of being held up a little bit by lap traffic. Although that should not be lap traffic holding them back. They should be new tires. They just should be passing them at this point. 8 to go. Kirby now 1.2 back. There is Kirby. Does he have time to reel him in? Still at 1.2.
And there's no real dispute. The other thing is in this one, there's no real dispute anywhere on the track for a position. Really, the Crow and Callisto situation, remains the best race on the track. Stretch Armstrong, he's a couple seconds behind this back, but not really catching it in a meaningful. Crow is running the same speeds as Evans and Kirby.
Here comes Hearn with new tires along the high side here of Evans. He's cleared. Now 1.1 back to Kirby. 6 to go, 5 to go at the line. Kirby right at still 1.1. Down the backstretch. Kirby going to get a run now on Big John. Will clear him, put him in direct contact with Evans. Evans is going to want to get around Graydon, although Graydon has newish tires than Evans. Graydon just gets out of the way. Now Kirby 1.3, he's kind of stuck behind Big John. That might be it. That might be the best one last shot there. I don't know. Big John pulls up, clears out of the way. Here comes Kirby. Got 3 laps to try to reel him in. Kirby clear Big John. I don't know. Did I just lose? Oh, there's Mark. He's still here. Okay, so he went silent.
I am here.
Okay, all right.
I'm listening to the wisdom of God.
There is no wisdom. I'm just watching the ticker actually now go up. 2 to go. Evans is now pulled out to a 1.5 second lead as Kirby got it down to about 1.1 and might have been the last breath. As Kirby looking at another podium. I mean, he started off his career here. It's going to be 3 straight podiums. And Crow, a second consecutive podium. And Evans here looking for his 5th win of the series.
Watching Lionel Callisto just lay black marks at the exit of turn 4 there.
It'll be 5 of 8 races. Greg Evans is going to get another win here. I mean, clear down the backstretch. All good going into 3 and 4. And off the corner, this championship is not decided yet. Greg Evans is putting his stamp on this championship, says, I'm all in on this race, as he gamble big pays off here at Lost Wages.
We're going to see Justin Kirby come home 2nd. Sam Crow going to round out your podium. Lionel Callisto drifts it across the line to finish 4th. And but early leader and man that started 3rd, Stretch Armstrong, bring it home 5th. How about that? Nice run for Stretch. I would be interested to know what exactly the temperature and tread depth is on Lionel Callisto's right. Maybe we could give that. Maybe there's a way that we could get that information. Have him send Mike his telemetry file. I'm just interested to know, like, how in the world can you drive a car that for that long?
All right, let's get in here, set up things for the interview.
Matt Wagner wants to know what the secret is.
And before we actually bring up the interview stuff, let's get in today's final standings here from Lost Wages. Greg Evans with his win, 5 out of the last 8. He's been among the leaders. among the winner, and fifth win of the season. P1 Justin Kirby on the podium again. 3 races, 3 podiums for Kirby. Second place today. Sam Crow, another podium, and continuing in the march to this championship. He finishes on the bottom step. Lionel Callisto, 4th. Stretch Armstrong, 5th. Rigney, 6th. Goodman, 7th. Hayes, 8th. Wagner, 9th. And Euler in 10th. Moving on, Hearn, 11th. Rick D, 12th. Chris Reagan, 13th. Pep Dojo, 14th. Brandon Graydon, 15th. Big John, 16th. Jimbo Pfeiffer, 17th. And Hugo Gallas retiring early in 18th.
Another amazingly fun race. Just kind of chatting with Matty Wagner here after the race. Told him, I think y'all need to get a bounty on Greg Evans.
Evans had the purple lap, by the way, at 31.892.
Yeah, he had that long run speed, but he also had the speed when it counted, and that's so difficult to do. It is so difficult to do because it's two completely different philosophies in driving. So kudos to him. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that when we close on.
All right, and let's go to the interview room. And bring up Sam Crow. Here he is. Another week, another podium. Our points leader, Sam Crow, man. Tell us about your race. You didn't lead any laps. You just kept it at the same level all race long, and basically you gained 4 points, or you gained, 4 positions. But once you got to that middle portion of that top 3, top 5, you just kind of hovered there and stayed there. That's exactly what you needed to do.
Well, that's the strategy, just to run consistent laps and just try to get into a position where I can get podiums and good finishes. That's really, like I told you guys last week, I really just want to come here with no expectations and have a great time and leave with some happiness, and that's exactly what seems to be working for me. And I'm thrilled to death with the third. I realize I'm not quite up to the level well, here's the truth. Fuel saving has really played so much into my driving that it makes it difficult for me to know when to push and how hard to push in order to race with Greg or Justin or something like that. And we saved the first fuel run to 45, the second fuel run to 92, and then I still have 5 laps to the good, and I really have pushed harder on the last run. I really didn't think I'd had that many laps left, but I didn't.
Go ahead, Murph.
Sam, another week, another podium. It's kind of the same. It's kind of the same story. You're Mr. Consistent. Talk about, you had probably the best long run speed of anybody up to and including Greg. If it came down to a shootout, do you think you had it over 1 lap too?
Oh wow. Now, sprints, I'm not the best sprint racer on a 2 or 3 lap run, but I was just trying to stay consistent on these 3 runs tonight. I knew that we needed to save on average at least a lap and a half per fuel run, and so it was working out that I was saving upwards of 2 laps, and I just tried to stay consistent. It seemed to be working for me, but those guys, man, they just really have done a great job of maintaining a little bit more pace and save the fuel too. So it just goes to show that I still have a lot of room to grow. But thank you for that information. It's nice to know that my pace is just as good as theirs.
Yeah, at the end you were the fastest car on the track. So kudos for that, Sam.
Now you didn't have to say that.
heck of a podium.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Job so well done.
So the points are in. The points are in, by the way. And I would have thought with Goodman finishing 7th and you finishing on another podium that you would have extended your lead. But Goodman is able to now tie you for the top of the points. I think this must include the drop weeks now. Yeah, Goodman now with 327, you with 327. Your line, though, you got 2 poles this year, which we've gone virtually unreminded. We remiss to tell people it's not just consistency finishing, but you have been consistently fast to start at the front. But the big number is you lead the league in top 5s with 9, and you are tied in the league with top 10s with 11. And that's really kind of what tallied up and has got you to where you are right now. So with the drop weeks enabled now, what it looks like is that you and Goodman are tied going into Darlington. What do you do now? You got a championship on your mind in Darlington. Is it just go for it, or do we try to survive Darlington and get to a more familiar racetrack, a Homestead, and then we see what happens when we get to Talladega?
Guess I'll just have to sweet talk the lady in black.
Okay, all right.
Just no, same philosophy. I'm not changing my mindset. Just show up, have a great time with some of the best racers. I'm telling you, I keep telling every week I tell you how much fun I'm having, and I am having a ball. The quality of racers here is absolutely stellar, and I am just having a great time, regardless of how the points play out. Let them fall where they may. I'll do the best that I can every week. I'll show up and do what I can do, but wherever they fall, I have had such a great time, and I have enjoyed the broadcast that you and Murph are doing. I appreciate you both so much and the great stellar work that you're doing. And so thank you so much for the broadcast and,
No problem.
effort that you're putting into it. Really, honestly, it's great. And I, we'll see what Darlington has in store.
Shout outs, friends, family, sponsors. Anyone to say hi to before we let you get on out of here so you can prepare now for Darlington?
Well, I've already bragged on you two guys. You're the best. Also, just a shout out to the name on the car, Go Sim Lab, and the cars that I've painted in the field. And then, of course, my teammates here with Mike Rigney, Lewis Hayes, Greg Evans, John Vanvarella, Rick Pallas, Pat Armstrong. It's just a good group that we have there. And a really encouraging group. I can't thank those guys enough for their encouragement and the positive attitude that they have, and so I'm just really grateful, super grateful.
Another week, another podium, but got a week of flirting with the lady in black to try to coax her to give you a good victory or podium there.
I know. What do you do for a lady in black?
I don't have a lot of experience. I'm an IndyCar guy. I don't have a lot of experience with Darlington, so you might have to talk to Murph. Murph might be the one that could tell you how to deal with the ladies there.
Drop me a DM, Murph, and let me know what's up.
I consistently wind up striking out that, but I think the last time I raced at Darlington in any capacity, I wound up running over Jeff Green. So let's not do that.
Oh, wow. I enjoy Darlington. Darlington is absolutely one of my favorite racetracks, and I've been bit so many times there and disappointed so many times there, but I've had some success there too. But I just love racing that track. So I know when I show up, race the track and let the cards fall where they may.
Yeah, you just said the key word, race the track.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. She has all my respect, all of it.
Absolutely.
All righty, sir. Congratulations. Thanks, on the podium. We'll see you in another week. In the meantime, go celebrate, have fun, and you are the points leader for one more week going into the next race.
Thanks so much, guys. Have a good weekend.
Yeah. All right, and that is Sam. Let's see if Kirby is around. There he is. We'll bring him up here. Hey, Justin, got you here in the booth with Gary and Mark. Another week in the league, another podium. You were cutting down the lead on Evans a little bit there with under 10 to go, but it just looks like you ran out of time and maybe ran out of tire. Talk about your race, sir.
Oh, the race went pretty fantastic. I mean, it was, I was a little surprised fuel came into it like it did last week. So, I mean, that's why everyone's like had to hit 45. Otherwise, you're pretty much out to lunch. But yeah, just taking care of the tires, taking care of just making sure had enough to get through the center of the run, and got me up ahead of the pack. Got a really good first stop. Get me out in some cleaner air. Didn't have all the traffic to mess with, so it was easier on the car. And then just kept putting solid laps down, and everyone was racing phenomenal. I mean, it was the first part of the race, that was probably the most fun I've had packed in a pack like in a very long time. I don't know how it looked at.
And it's a shame that a green flag pit stop had to spoil all that.
I'm not complaining.
No, okay. Go ahead, Murph.
I marvel at your all's speed and the ability to preserve the tires over the long run there. Did you think at any point, about doing the 3-stop? We saw Richie Hearn do it, and he was probably the most successful. Did you think at all about doing that, or was it just all about getting a 45?
Short pitting does not work, and unless if the tires had more of a fall off, it would be, or if it had a more consistent fall off, it'd be one thing. But doesn't matter what car we're in right now. There's like a tire. Once they hit a certain spot, every tire plateaus across every car, and basically all you're trying to do is hit that plateau the softest you can, so you can keep better speed. And if it kept dropping off like a tenth or two every like 5 laps, short pitting would be phenomenal. But because you kind of flatline, you lose that gouging that you have on new tires, and then it's just you get stuck way back. So it's a matter of just making sure you can conserve the car, keep that tire heat down so you can make it fuel run and keep some speed in it, and that's the key to this build right now.
Justin, we're moving on to a tough one next at Darlington. Can you keep the streak going?
We're going to one of my babies.
Uh-oh.
That is the plan.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. He's calling his shots. What do you like about?
I'm not calling nothing. I'm just saying I'm feeling pretty good about it.
What do you like? What is it you like about Darlington?
It's
besides it's too tough to tame.
I wasn't gonna say that, but that well played, sir. But it's one of those tracks. It's such an experienced track that once you finally figure out how to run it, you're like, I can't wait till we go back here. This is I'm digging this. So I felt like that for a long time, and it's always like one track I've got marked on the calendar. It's like that Dover. Just those little more technical tracks. Those are right up my alley.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to even more so next week to see how this the battle of this championship continues to play out. But then several streaks on the line, considering a podium streak is now on the line. So hope to see another one next week. We shall see. Shout outs, friends, family, sponsors. Anyone you want to say hi to before we let you go?
Just want to say hi and thanks to guys at Black Magic. My brother hanging out in there, and he will be here, I promise.
Okay.
And just want to say thanks to you guys with helping out with the broadcasting and doing what you've been doing for this season for Mike and ISRA, and thanking Mike and all the guys. Just, I mean, they've let me in. Like, I haven't been all that talkative on Discord, but they've been very welcoming, and it's been very, very nice to come back and to see the new guys and be a part of that. So I want to help keep building that and keep going forward.
All right. Well, we will see you next week at Darlington, but a P2 today at Lost Wages, as I like to say. We'll catch you next week, man. Have a good one.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Let's throw him down in the general chat. We'll bring up today's winner. There he is. Greg got you here in the booth with Mark and Gary. 5 out of the last 8. You are now in 5th place in the championship. And now you're actually can see the leaders. You're 313 in 5th place. That's the number of points you have, with Goodman and Crow tied at the top with 327, and there's still time left to play. Your thoughts on the day, and then your thoughts at making a go of the championship here with only 3 races left, and 2 tracks are really, really tough tracks. Darlington, of course, and then the wild card is you never know what's going to happen at Talladega. what do you think your chances are? But first, talk about the race today, and then talk about your chances as you see them with 3 weeks to go.
Yeah, man, we had a really good car again tonight. Just kind of methodically picked our way through the field that first run, and after last week, I had my mind made up. I told Sam and those guys, and Mike, I said, "Man, I'm not losing a field mileage race again. I'm sorry." I probably saved a little bit too much fuel this time, but after last week, I was like, you know what, I'm just not going to lose a race that way. But we still got a long way to go. We've got 3 races to go. I feel good about Darlington and Homestead, but yeah, Talladega is just going to be a crapshoot. Anything can happen there, and a lot of these guys are good, clean, smart racers, but when you get to Talladega and the points are on the line, it's it's hard telling what could happen. But all we can do is try to go to win the next 2 races and give ourselves a shot at Talladega.
Go ahead, Murph.
Yeah, just another dominant performance, Greg. My hat's off to you. One of these days, you're going to have to tell us your secret, because just absolutely dominant. One more time, we saw you set the purple lap, so it wasn't all just fuel save. You got the hammer down when it called for it. Talk about how difficult that is to both save fuel when it's called for, and then all of a sudden just flip the switch and go.
Well, it's something that I don't like doing, but the way that Rigney set these races up, I was like, man, this ain't even fair. Like, you have to kind of put around here for the first two sessions, or two fuel runs. But that's, I mean, if you go cup racing or Xfinity racing, sometimes that's part of the strategy. But yeah, it was. I mean, you want to be quick. You don't want to get too far behind, and then have too much fuel and not enough time. So there was a few times in the race where I felt like maybe I was pushing a little bit too hard, and I would drop behind a couple guys and save a couple laps of fuel. And once we was able to make the lap 93, I knew that last run, if I really needed to, I could push the car and not have to worry about fuel. That's why I tried to go as long as I could and went an extra lap than Kirby. But all these strategy races, this really is a crapshoot, because I mean, you could be running 10th and everybody in front of you not have enough fuel and a caution come out, and then all your strategy is out the window. So you try to play your strategy the best you can, but also be on the offensive side to where something like that does happen. You're still in a good spot to have a good run.
Friends, family, sponsors, shout outs. Anyone to say hi to before we let you go, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. Freightliner and Sim Magic, Sim Labs. Thank all my buddies over here: John Van Varela, Sam Crew, Lewis Hayes, Mike Rigney for another fuel strategy race. Thanks, Mike. And thank you guys again for broadcasting. Like I tell you, man, whenever you can go back and watch these races the next day at work or that evening and kind of look back at it and hear you guys talk about everybody, and it just makes it a lot more special, and appreciate you guys doing this for us.
Well, look, if Rigney ever flips the switch to IndyCar and you're going to give IndyCar a try, then you definitely 100% got to get used to fuel mileage races.
Yeah, you'll be saving fuel You'll be saving fuel on pit road before the start of the race.
Right.
I've actually got my cockpit set up to where I've got an ignition and starter, so when everybody else cranked up, I wait till they pulled off just to be safe. So,
yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, that's for sure. Well, congratulations on the win. 5 out of the last 8, 5th win this season. Now in view of the top of the championship. Congratulations. We will see you next week, Darlington.
You guys, thanks again, and we'll see you at Darlington.
You got it. All right. Hey, so Murph, we now have completed 2 races at. That's 234 laps. That's 100 laps last week in Michigan, 134 more tonight. No cautions. That has increased total laps turned this season for the ISRA Xfinity Series, 1,508 laps, 97.215% of them under green flag conditions. No cautions today. Last caution we had was 2 races ago at Bristol.
Yeah, and more of the same. This race I kind of pointed it out with with the question to Greg, the dichotomy of having to go slow and save fuel, and then all of a sudden flip the switch and run the fastest lap of the. Very similar to what you and saw on Saturday in the race spot. And it's just so awesome week in and week out to see these guys make these decisions, 2 stops versus the extra, the extra 3 stop. What strategy is going to work? Who's going to save fuel and go fast at the same time? And then when it comes down to time to run for them, who actually is able to flip the switch and go fast? I think we have the answer. It's Greg Evans.
Right.
I think we know. I think that's been established that he's the now. Sam Crow, what a tremendous effort. He was actually a touch of the stopwatch faster than Evans was across the end. And how about Kirby and all these different guys that we've got just week in, week out, fabulous racing, not running over each other.
Yeah.
And that's just so much fun to watch. You don't have to run over each other.
Yeah.
And these guys prove it every week. So
yep.
Hats off to them all.
Yep, for sure. So here's the point situation once again. Goodman and Crow now are tied up, 327 a pop. Wagner is 4 points behind them at 323. Callisto is 1 point behind Wagner in 4th, or actually would be 3rd now. Actually, I believe Goodman technically is the leader. He has I believe the tiebreaker was going to be wins. So Goodman has the 2 wins this season over Crow's 0. So that makes Goodman the actual points leader. Then Crow, then Wagner, then Callisto. Callisto is at 322, 1 behind Wagner. And then Greg Evans has snuck into the picture here in 5th with 313.9 behind Callisto. So we are going into the last 3 weeks of the season with 5 drivers with a chance at this championship. And I got a feeling, and we didn't talk with him today, Matt Wagner is definitely, he's left 2 championships like we've seen here recently on broadcast, P1 broadcasts in the past, that he's left on the table. The Truck Series, and then, of course, the Dark Horse Series. So he is itching to get a championship. And I think of all these guys here in the top 5, I just think of him as probably the one that is the one that's probably thinking the most, man, I do not want to finish 2nd or 3rd one more time. I just do not want to do that. But that is your top 5. Goodman, Crow, Wagner, Callisto, and Evans with 3 races to go.
Yeah, and Matty Wagner is definitely going to be the hungriest. We know he's a stock car ace. We know he knows how to win. That we're going to go to some tracks here, kind of in his wheelhouse. If you were thinking about a track where an IndyCar guy might be able to be a little bit more competitive versus some of the stock car guys, Talladega's it.
Yeah.
Go to a plate track, that's much more in line with us racing at Michigan. So,
did Eddie Cheever get the win there when he was in IROC? I'll look that up. Find out. He did win one. Yeah, but I forget which track he did. It might have been Michigan too, but. Well, we look that up later for information later. But that's it for tonight. Once again, your podium from Vegas. Greg Evans with his 5th win of the season. Justin Kirby with his 3rd consecutive podium. And Sam Crow keeping pace at the top of the points here in the championship. Each one of these finishers had a story to tell. And it was a good story. And that keeps everybody coming on back. Join us again next week for all these stories that continue for round 11 of the ISRA Xfinity Series. Actually, it should be round 12 of the ISRA Xfinity Series as the teams and drivers head to the track. Too Tough to Tame, Darlington Raceway. Coverage begins around 9:35 p.m. Eastern time. Again, that's 9:35 p.m. Eastern. As always, for the correct broadcast time in your area, you can find everything on YouTube at youtube.com. And then all you need to search is FTN Broadcasting. FTN Broadcasting. And they will bring you to the channel. You should see our our thumbnail in place there for the next race here. I'll have the admins put that up here so you can check on that. Now, as you know, the YouTube algorithm game is not an easy one, so please help support P1 and FTN with the weekly grind. Leave a comment below to let us know your thoughts on tonight's race. And if you enjoyed tonight's coverage, support us by smashing like in the video. If you're new, click subscribe, and while you're at it, hit the bell for weekly reminders so don't miss out on more P1 and FTN's other iRacing programming, including next week. We will be here on FTN next Monday. Told you, 9:35, Darlington, with 3 rounds to go here in this championship. Track cams today provided by Whiplash Sim Cams. Thank you to Whiplash Sim Cams for being the official camera pack provider of P1 Broadcasting. Learn more about Whiplash, follow them on Twitter, or follow them on Facebook. Or like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. I should probably rewrite that line. And all the links are in the description. And they also have an Instagram account. You can probably find that Instagram account linked to one of their other socials that we're giving you links to. Check them out. Whiplash SimCam. So for Mark Murphy, everyone here at P1, FTN, and the ISRA, I'm Gary Gotza saying to all, good night. Thanks for watching. And to all our men and women serving in the military and as first responders, Godspeed, God bless. Come home safe. Catch us again right here next week in Darlington for the next race of the ISRA Xfinity Series. Good night, everyone.